Take it away, Dave and Mackie.
Hey everyone, thanks Nighthawk. I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, coming to you, whoa, wow, that was a bit brief, on WZZR, coming to you from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's the website, where it's home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations. In the chat room is where I am. And the website's also a great place to get your merchandise. Do that to support the station. Do that. How was the meter on that? It was almost Captain James T. Kirk. So this is show number 616.
6, 10, and 600.
Thank you, Mackie. You know you can catch us on air, online, and anywhere on your smart device. So grab an app, if you don't know. Grab an app from an app store that allows you to be able to listen. The station's website has a list of different ways you can connect in, so that you don't have to necessarily have the website open, but you'd go through an app, which is really actually pretty cool. People do that today. Mackie, I don't know about you, on the line, because we're on the line, right?
On the line!
On the line!
On the line, all the time!
But if you don't know about apps and smartphones and tablets and phablets, I'm when phablets were a thing. Did you know that you can just sit at home with a Grace tabletop digital radio and listen to Revolution Radio Studio A, mind you, or B, or Hawk's Nest, in the comfort of your own porch, balcony, veranda, depending on what country you're in your lounge room, maybe in your breakfast nook. Doesn't matter. Just do it, yeah, and tell other people about it. Do you know, if you missed Solaris' show that comes up before us, missed a great show. I caught about maybe like the last hour. It was so good, and I know Madeline was on. I forget the guests, but there was a bunch, and this is Christmas. This is New Year's Eve for us. We've only got 6 hours. Well, 5 hours, 55 minutes until it returns in the 2024 for us. So, anyway, if you don't know who Solaris is, do jump into the archives. It's free. You can go in there and download MP3s. They're all date stamped and they're all sorted into folders. It's like, it's like Windows folders. And you can grab a whole bunch and binge in a row. I actually love doing it. So should you. And you can learn something. I dare you to learn something. Learn something new and be the smartest person in the room on any particular subject, either directly from the host or from the guests. Have a listen to some of our awesome guest shows. You really need to do that. And you can find those both on YouTube and in the archives. Our website actually lists what days they were on, so you should be able to find them that way also. Okay? And do tell people about it. You honestly need to do that. Tell people about freedomslips.com, Freedom Slips, Revolution.radio, and spread the word. Because if you can't donate yourself, if you're unable to donate because of your situation, tell others so they may be able to do that. And I don't mean hunt down the rich person in the street wearing a suit and nice shiny shoes and say, donate to Revolution.radio right now. Don't do that. That's bad. But, encourage people to listen to it. Do like, share, and subscribe, right? And tell others. I think that's really important. Mackie, I'm still broadcasting from Bundjalung country.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've got to say it correctly because it is Bundjalung. Where are you today?
I'm in the good country of the Daruk people.
Very nice, beautiful downtown Hawaii. Now, Mackie and I, together, both and individually, respect the elders past, present, and future. Oh boy, Mackie, goodness, this is the coolest day we've had in 2 weeks. Where I am.
Coming hot on the heels, of course, of whatchamacallit, very hot day yesterday because I took my kids to the beach, believe it or not. So yes, very cool today. Very cool.
It is.
And,
It's
drizzly.
the kind of day that you wouldn't want to go to the beach because it's cool. It's only in the 20s, I think, somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yesterday was close to 30.
Yeah, we
But,
were nearing 40, and I don't have
Wow.
any air conditioning where I am at.
Air conditioning. I had a friend who lived in Singapore, and he refused to use the air conditioning in his apartment. I said, "Why?"
Really?
Well, because the locals don't use it. I said, "Dude, all the locals use it."
You fool!
What are you gonna do? Hey, can I give you a thought for the week? I'm gonna give you everybody.
Do it.
Actually, no. This is a thought for the year, the new year, which is upon us soon.
That's a big call, Mickey.
I know, but this is important.
I trust you.
thought about this a lot, and
Uh-huh.
I saw it recently pop up, and I've been thinking about it, and I go, yes, this is it. Okay, so here goes. Thought for the year. And what are you going to do to make sure it doesn't come true? Ooh, challenge. Okay, so here goes. The billionaires investing in space today, space travel that is, don't want Star Trek. They want Dune.
Mm-hmm.
They want Dune. Okay? That's where we are, guys and girls.
Do I get to mine the spice, Mickey?
Sure, why not? You can mine all the spice in the world.
I want my eyes to sparkle blue. It depends on which June it is that you're from the books or any of the movies.
Oh, just a word to the admin. You still have to update the link to the chat on the homepage, everybody. Now I happen to have it because Dave gave it to
Yeah,
me,
I
but
sent it to you, yeah.
but for everybody else, it needs a new link there, guys. Just saying. Just saying.
Flippy says, accessed from revolution.radio homepage menu upper right. Today's show probably just show up sometime Sunday.
Upper right.
I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to test it while we're on air. But no. Do you know what, Mackie? I woke up this morning and I'm watching all the news go by today, and I tried to get as much news in as I could possibly watch that was humanly possible until I fell asleep for a couple of hours and then woke back up and continued to watch news. One of the things that I noticed was everyone was doing, the rundown, 2023 rundown. Everyone. Doesn't matter who they were. And if it was an American outlet, they'll be doing it tomorrow, their time, right? In the next day. Because I think it's... Yes, that's right, Mickey. Weird Al. So, I thought I'd just touch on a couple of things which I thought was a little weird this year. Every year, Mackie, we get, this is the hottest year on record. Well, if we've done it again, woohoo! We've done another hottest year on record.
Yeah.
And according to...
Well, but this is all-time records. Not since records began. This is as far as we can actually go with ice core drilling and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
This is what we can say. This has been the hottest year in 100,000 years, so they say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cold where I am, Mackie. Hey. Okay.
So we beat the record, and we didn't need the rest of December. The last 3 weeks of December weren't required for us to have already hit the record, which is great.
Spit on you, December. December.
Yeah,
It's not even a month.
Rookie numbers.
Rookie numbers.
Rookie
What?
numbers.
I don't understand the question.
So I just wanted to bring that up because immediately people started talking, it's all climate change, and then I heard others in some stories, they, it's all annexes, right? They annexed carbon emissions into one, and the other one was instead of carbon emissions, it was driving petrol vehicles. They didn't mention diesel, just petrol, so that's different. The other was, so I should say, none of them talked about farming, big industry, and power production. None of them talked about that. That wasn't on their menu. Yeah. And recently there was another story where, since they were all doing it, all of them in some way, it didn't matter what it was. Did I text you this thing today? And it was our I hope I did. I hope I sent it to you on Facebook. Hang on one second. Just let me have a look to see if I did that. Oh no, I didn't. Oh, hang on. Did I text you maybe? Let me have a look. I'm sure I did something
Maybe.
like that. Oh, that's right. So the federal minister I saw on the news today.
Oh,
this
yeah,
morning
you
it
just sent me a
was.
text.
Yeah, 7:18 a.m. That's my day starts after I've washed up and done all the things I've got to do. Start watching news, and here it is: the federal minister defending the Bureau of Meteorology because there was claims that they weren't giving enough warnings for the storms that have just hit Brisbane and southeastern Queensland. Okay, that's for the audience, so they can find that on the map somewhere. And southeast Queenslanders, who even this evening still have 30,000 homes that won't get power for another week. And I've got a friend of mine who lives in Mudgeeraba. It's an Aboriginal word, but there's a war museum there, and I play skirmish there, paintball, whenever I can. I was made an honorary member of the field, just a little aside. When I was playing and I was giving the guy who owns the paintball field, I was giving him Nam flashbacks by him watching me. And he shook my hand afterwards and gave me, honestly, very sincerely, thanks to him for giving me honorary membership. So the Bureau of Meteorology, they say large hail, high winds. What more can you do in advance, right? There's massive storms coming through, so make sure you all the normal advice. Make sure you've cleaned up your yard, all the loose items, try to put under cover somewhere, all those things, right? And the next thing on the footage, we're watching trampolines go and fly in the air, right? We're seeing roofs getting torn off. It doesn't matter what advice you gave people. You can't say, make sure your roofs are all secured, please. Yeah, you can't do that. I think someone would understand that a trampoline is a high drag coefficient target, right? And it's going to blow away in any wind. Yeah, that's what happens to trampolines. But anyway, they're not fixed. So he was defending the Bureau's messaging because it's the same as New South Wales, just that everyone got up and bit uppity in Queensland, right? Because I think what happens, Becky, when you transmit across the border, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, the internet message turns into Morse code because they're so far back in time.
Yeah. No hate for that one.
I was going to say carrier pigeon, but I brought them a whole century ahead.
Why do you do this?
I brought them into last century. So it could have been lost in translation in that way, right?
Yeah,
couple of beeps and dashes.
You're divided by common language.
If only, Mackie, we had a common language. So, now the federal minister, said that he had lost count of storms that are labelled as unprecedented. Yeah. Now, we've said those words, Mackie.
Yeah.
We said 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Superstorms, mega, hyper, giga storms. I don't know where we're going to go with this, but that's why I was kind of flabbergasted to hear him say it, finally.
Yeah, look, there are many things that have changed. There's a really crazy story coming out of Bangladesh on the same lines. You know how many people die in Bangladesh every year from lightning strikes these days? Like, it's a new number.
Oh, really?
300. 300
Wow.
people.
We lost 2 people.
You know how many people die in the United States of lightning strikes? 20. And
Wow.
the United States has double the population of Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So there are things that are happening around the world that are changing the patterns that we know. They just are. That's just what happens. Okay,
Mhm.
I mean, you can stand in your head and do what you like, but the storms, the superstorms, the floods. I mean, I still can't get over 2,000 millimeters of rain.
Of rain, that's right.
2,000 millimeters. Come on.
If you get
Really,
any amount of rain
Massachusetts.
less than that, they're rookie numbers.
Rookie numbers, but I mean, and it's the language, and this is important, everybody. This is really important. We have adopted language in the same way it was adopted in the novel 1984,
Yes.
and it's snuck up on us. It snuck up.
Mhm.
So, 2,000 millimeters of rain, negative growth,
Yes.
negative growth.
I like
There's
the
no
growth
such
word in
thing.
there. That's good.
That's good. Growth is good. There is no such thing as negative growth. It's called shrinkage.
That's right.
Okay? You're in decline if you're the opposite of growth. Okay?
It was
Then you're
shrinkage,
decline.
Jerry.
Shrinkage. This is shrinkage. It was cold that day. Look, the truth is that the language we're using is all geared
Yes.
to what profit.
Uh-huh.
It's true. It doesn't matter what the context is in which we operate. It's all profit. It's all profit oriented. It is all geared toward infinite growth in a finite system. That's in everything. In everything.
That's right.
And we try to, when you see a sales sign $9.99,
Yeah.
that's psychological because it's not $10. It's $9.
That's
Well,
right.
it's not. It's $9.99, but psychologically it's $9, not 10. It's the same when you say 2,000 millimeters. Millimeters. That's okay. That's okay.
If
you
you
said
said 2
two-
meters, yeah.
It's like, what? Ring the alarm bells. Get the
How
arc
big?
ready.
I'm gonna
Something.
be like someone reacting on an internet post. How big is our millimeters anyway, right?
Yeah. How? What do you say to that? You know what? You know the song "How Deep Is Your Love"?
Yes.
As a joke, I always say 2 meters. That's how deep it is. 2 meters. That's how deep my love is. Okay, 2 meters.
Well,
No,
you
but-
would have been very much in love up there in Queensland. then.
I know, but come on, everybody. Let's use the language to communicate, not to obfuscate. Because 2,000
Yeah.
millimeters doesn't help anyone, right? And negative growth is not even a thing. It's not even a concept. It's like the square root of -1. Okay, it doesn't work. It's an
I like the
illusion. Yes, it is. It's an imaginary number. Okay, and this really bothers me because we have problems, a lot of problems. Okay, and we're putting all this nonsense out into the world, which is just oh god, 2,000 millimeters. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, sorry,
Go on.
The BBC released a report just recently on all the people falling out of windows. So apparently, more than 24 of Putin's friends
Yes.
have fallen out of windows since the war in Ukraine began.
Mickey, it's the slippery floors.
You know what? I was thinking about this. Get this for a second, okay? Imagine this. This is my little conspiracy scenario. All accidents, all plane crashes, all car crashes in the United States that had a politician involved,
Yep.
right? Were all assassinations. But on the flip side of the coin, every single person that fell out of a window was actually an accident in Russia. every single person that fell out of the window. That's all good. What?
Yeah, that's sure. Sure it is.
That'll work.
Well, Mickey, just while we're on it, American elections. Can you remember a time in US history where they ever struck someone off the ballot in advance of per state in advance of the election? Do you remember Do you remember this,
Um,
open and free society where you can have a history, it's okay, right?
I listened to a whole bunch of reports around this, and you know what?
Mhm.
It's completely unprecedented. Oh, what a
There's
shock!
that word again.
We're living in a time. We are. This is the truth, everybody. We're living in a time that is more and more completely unprecedented in every single aspect that you can imagine. Natural, man-made, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It is all completely I mean, we
I'm
used to
going to
have,
go
for instance-
celestial as well. Why not? While we're
Yeah,
at it.
why not? Yeah, let all the gods fall on Olympus. No, but oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
I wouldn't say that. It was
Well,
him.
it's what? Hey, who did what now? No, but it's insane. It really is. It's I don't know what do you make of that? I mean, it's just nuts. It is
Totally.
completely. What do you do? What do you?
Well, it's going to be fought in the High Court, right? It's going to be in the Supreme Court in America, and the outcome may very well be that you can't do that. That's going to be the answer.
Yeah.
Because if if you're a completely, let's say, just simply right and left, if you're a leftist state, you can just ban all the right ones. And you can ban everyone on the right. If you're a right state, you could ban the left. Let's see what happens then on election night. Right? Because imagine how limited you must have to be then with your warehouse full of votes when not only would, for instance, in this fictional scenario, would there be, deceased voters, that's fine, right? But you couldn't have someone vote for someone in advance before the elections, counting stopped and the date of the mail, post date. You couldn't have all those pre-filled in the case of that. I think it would be extraordinary if everyone did it. It just reminds me, was it Indonesia, Mackie, where they do that all the time?
Sure.
Is it? No, I'm not talking about putting votes through the system that no one actually touched. No, I mean banning someone or locking someone up in prison.
Oh yeah. I mean, look,
That's a classic dictator
it's-
act, right?
Look, it happened. I was going to say it happens in all of the banana republics, right? And
Yeah.
I don't mean banana republic derogatory. It's just to describe countries that are run, as Dave said, by dictators, oligarchs, autocrats, whatever it might be. The best way to win is not to have an opposition. If you
Get
fight
rid of
somebody,
your competition.
right? So if you go if you're in a street fight, right, and your opponent brings a knife, you bring a gun.
Uh-huh.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Nobody fights fair. Fighting fair leads to defeat. And we don't need that, do we? No.
So
What?
yeah, so that's had me going now for a while. In the land of the free, where you are no longer free, in a land of free where you can't vote for the people in the state you live in because they've been struck off the register for some reason. Yeah, did you vote for that? No. It's just what they've determined. So I heard something about the Epstein flight logs and his little black book, that names were going to be released, and I thought, oh, what a great end to 2023. Well, it won't be. It'll be in 2024. But they've now put out a notice saying, if you think that your name is in there, do send us a message to say you'd like your information not disclosed to the public, and they're going to redact it. Could you imagine people clambering over themselves to try and get their name off the list that's going public? Hang on a minute. Is that how it works? I'm sure that's how it works. It must work like that. Mickey, where are you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It'll just be all redacted. It might have a date on the page, but then there'll be nothing else. And there's claims right now, not from me, this is just in watching the media. There's claims right now that there are people who are so in fear of their name coming up, that they've taken other actions, it's rumours, other actions to inform those people within their circles that you really, Bob, you really need, I'm just making this up, Bob, you're in fictional, you really need to get that, send that letter off really, really quickly, yeah? I can't speak for you, right? Get your lawyer to send it off right now. So that's frightening that they're advertising this in advance. How? Do you know what? It had me question who's on that list then. Do you know what I mean? Just how extensive is that list? How many people are bought or owned in America because they're on the list? Yeah.
Okay, let me be very diplomatic.
It's a very good question that I ask.
Anyone that matters.
Probably.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, because if you couldn't, okay.
Look at it. Flip it the other way around. If you're Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein, you're trying to get people to buy into your thing, so you have something on them, right? Possibly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Look. Again, I urge you all to read the book.
Yeah.
Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I really do, because they are. He lays it out. Since Kermit Kermit Roosevelt. Kermit Roosevelt. I want to say Kermit Roosevelt.
Here.
Well, yeah, no, not as funny though. he was the grandson, I think, of one of the Roosevelts. I think Theodore Roosevelt. Anyway, the point is, ever since he went and started this whole economic hitman kind of thing, it has been commonplace to bribe, to threaten, and then to, if all else fails, to kill anyone who can't be persuaded to play ball, as it were. And that's laid out very clear. I mean, on the first line, you've got the consultants coming in, doing all the economic work. If that fails, the CIA comes in to do the other work. Okay, and that nobody likes, and that's what happens. So, and you look at the list of leaders that stood against the states, for example, right, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and you see how many survived. It's a short list.
Yeah,
it's the same with Russians falling out of windows. I mean, you have to understand, if the first thing that is being done in politics is to eliminate the competition. Very difficult in America, not impossible. Look at Lincoln and Kennedy, for example. But it's harder, right? But if it's a third world country or a country, where you can operate with some freedom, or it's an autocratic regime, these things are very easy.
Yeah, some level of impunity. That's right.
Yeah, because people are afraid, terrified, in fact. Because the thing is this: ask yourself this, and we've said this before, right? If you were driving along in your car, anywhere, wherever you're driving, just a regular, maybe going to work, going to shop, I don't care, and you see an old woman, and I don't know, an really old woman, being beaten up by the police by the side of the road, would you stop and help her? Right?
That's a very good question. It's tough.
It's tough. Chances are, look, no offense to anyone, but chances are no, you will not. Right? Even less likely if you've got your kids or other family members in the car. If you're by yourself, I'll give you, the benefit of the doubt. But
you know what you're going in for, right? If they're beating her up, they're going to make mincemeat out of you. Oh,
no doubt whatsoever. Right? Now, so this is serious stuff. All of a sudden, you ask yourself, well, okay. So this is in a free country, so to speak. I mean, we know a lady was killed in Australia with a taser. She was like 80 or whatever she was. She had some mental problems. She was in a Zimmer frame, mind you, and they tasered her.
She had a knife.
She held a knife and her Zimmer frame at the same time. How much of a threat do you think that is? Anyway, so they tasered her, and the guy has now been, I think he's been done for murder or manslaughter or something. The cop. But that happens. That happens. And you go, what? And the cops initially didn't want to talk about it or investigate it. But what? And yeah, I mean, this is what happens in a so-called democracy in Australia. Imagine what happens elsewhere, where there is no oversight. There's no one coming to help you. They're taking you away to Gulag in Siberia. Someone coming to help you? Nah. It's like Brian in the life of Brian. He gets nailed up on a cross, right? And then Judith comes. Oh, yes, Reggie has explained it all to me. Thank you so much for being nailed up. It all makes so much sense. And then Brian goes, "Oh, you silly sod." No one is coming to help you. Okay, no one.
I'd get on the phone to Jack Reacher. Not the Tom Cruise, not the Tom Cruise one, the other one.
No, the actual. No, I'm with you. Yeah, that would be good. That would work.
Because no one's going to mess with him. I'm telling you that much.
Yeah,
but the concern is, Mickey, that once again, the unprecedented acts we're seeing from. I'm not going to say in Australia that we have militarised police. We don't. We've got police, the largest police force in New South Wales in the world, for a jurisdiction, and I'm gonna say it's not an easy job to do it, and their rules of engagement have changed somewhat over the years. Now I'm using a lot of experience here in conversations that I've had with people who have been in the force. However, for our situations to change so rapidly, once again unprecedented, because I watch videos on YouTube, and I watch a great channel. It's called Audit the Audit, where people submit videos and he talks through the legalities of their interactions, and he rates the participant or the police officers on an A to F scale, F being bad, and of how they've been able to handle that interaction. And I think that's really important for use as a training tool, but I'm sure no one does, and they don't care. And my question in the US police force across the nation, whether it's county, state, or federal, how much of your how much of a personality trait driven role is your selection criteria for those people that join up in either of those, whether it's county, state, or federal. The county people might be, you know what, my father was one, I want to be one, or you might not have done well at school and it's a great opportunity for you to make amends or do things and become the good role model that you should be, right? I'm not saying everyone's bad. It makes me wonder, because right now we're seeing, not in the police force, switching lanes, politically we're seeing so much more what I would probably call, in US political history, the most corrupt era that I've ever witnessed. While I have no proof that there's any corruption going on, I'm watching one party claim through CNN News that everything that Trump will be when he gets in, that CNN have guests that say he's going to murder people, he's going to have them put to death, he's going to incarcerate people, this is what they're saying. This is what CNN's guests are saying, because they try to step back and not actually say it, but sometimes their hosts do say it. That what he's going to do is become a dictator. He's going to abolish the amendments, right? He's going to make it an election, so he's just going to be in for life. It's like, hang on a minute, really? But when I see the party that they're defending, they're not really defending. They're only muckraking. They're just dragging this guy through the mud without saying anything on their side. It's all negative on the other side. So the more negative you can make that person, the more positive your guy looks. And they've got to go a long way, Mickey, to being able to make Joe Biden look any good. But if you have a look at the left now, is banning, him being on the ballot card, like, what have we become? I think that's a good question.
look, that's all very true. Now, interestingly enough, the two states where it's still on hold, by the way. The action hasn't actually happened yet.
Uh-huh.
It's still pending appeal. But those two states would go to liberals anyway. To Democrats, I should say.
Of course.
So it's not a real skin off his nose. Having said that, though, and I want to say this is a cautionary thing, right? I'm not saying that's what Trump is going to do, but it can happen a lot faster than you think. In Germany, a couple of years ago, there was an attempted coup, or there was a coup.
Oh, I remember that. That's right.
On the Bundestag, which is the parliament, and they were going to essentially overthrow the government. They were found out, and the whole thing was sort of split apart. Doesn't mean they got everybody, but the point is it can happen. And of course, this is exactly what happened in Germany in 1933. The Germans didn't vote Hitler and his party into power. He was part of a coalition, and he was chancellor while Bismarck was president. Bismarck was Hindenburg, rather, not Bismarck. Hindenburg was an elderly Prussian statesman, and he formed the coalition with Hitler's Nazi party.
Kind of like the Sith Lord, Mackie.
Kind of, sort of, but except Hindenburg wasn't a Sith. But Hitler took the opportunity because he was chancellor, and the essentially the burning of the Reichstagsbahn allowed him to take full control by invoking a law called the Notstandsgesetz, which was an emergency law. If something was happening that threatened the integrity of the Weimar Republic, then this could come into play. And they said, well, the burning of the parliament is definitely one of those things. And of course, that Notstandsgesetz was never revoked. Hitler, from there on in, governed as the self-styled Führer, the leader of the German people. So, but the point is this: it can happen very, very innocuously because yes, he was voted into power, not overwhelmingly at all, part of a coalition. But if you engineer it just right, if you get all your horses lined up. You can engineer yourself to become dictator for life. And can this happen in the United States? Of course it can. That's why the Constitution was written in the way it was written. Defended against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So is it a possibility? Yes, it is. But it's a possibility with any candidate. And look, what we saw when the power was transitioned from Trump to Biden, right? And we saw that Trump will not lie down and take a defeat. He will try to stay in power. So it is not without precedent that these things are being said. Is Trump going to be dictator material? Honestly, I think it's a little bit too vain to see himself as a bad guy. Okay, it's just me. But hey, who knows? But having said that, eventually I do believe that someone of that ilk will come and take over the United States at some point in the future. Absolutely.
Well, my question is based around historical interactions with regular folk who may very well call someone out on all of their, or lie on their traits when they actually possess those traits themselves.
Well, of course.
Right? So that's kind of what I'm suggesting here is be very wary. If you're a voter in the US, just be very wary to analyze what you're getting from the media, what kind of words, because I had a friend of mine echo that exact tirade at me recently, who's a CNN supporter and lives in Australia.
Oh, okay.
With no buy-in to the American election at all, but was so emotionally connected to how bad everything's going to be because the media told them so, that they were fearful of him getting into power a second time. And that's really concerning. If it were me, if I was in control of any election whatsoever, it didn't matter, or maybe a rule going forward that everyone must apply themselves to, with a penalty if you fail, and that is that you should never be able to bring down an opponent. Never be able to. You should be able to be held libel, and they can sue you for negative press if it's not true, or there's no basis of fact in it. If they don't have anything to back it up, then that should be the end. Because you know what? I thought we were smarter than this. I really did. And by using this tool set at this point in time to ignore your own candidate, pretty much, as CNN does, and only, well, it appears it's all conjecture, because they're talking about may and could, can, and these are all then followed up by these disastrous kinds of stories. And I'm really having a problem with watching it over and over again, because I don't see the right doing it to the left. I only see the left doing it to the right, because that seems to be allowed. There was also a thing, Meki, I saw this week. I saw AOC on Twitter giving some kind of spiel. Oh boy, almost everything was incorrect. There was no basis of a fact in what she was saying either, and that's trouble. There is a thing in Australia called parliamentary privilege. Anything said within the walls of Parliament or around the grounds of the buildings, the parliamentarians themselves cannot be found liable for mistruths. They can say whatever they want, it doesn't matter, there's absolutely zero repercussions that can occur. And that's a shame, and I really think that shouldn't be the case. I think everyone should be, let's hold themselves in higher esteem, possibly. Because wouldn't you honour the people who you are proud to vote for? If they didn't do that, if they didn't mudrake the opposition, I think the opposition's got the currently seat-holding party in the US has their own problems, with so many people crossing the border every day and shipping them into towns within the US, just wandering aimlessly through the streets. Like, what do you do with them? There's no plans, right? The border is completely open, don't even know who you're getting. And I think without that vetting, you've got an unplanned quantity. Now, we know in Australia that our birth rates are down, and that allowing certain people with skills that we need, is a way to improve our economy. It is one of those growth factors, but you can't do that indefinitely. You really want to upskill your own people. And the fear, of course, is we were seeing some negative growth through the COVID period because we shut our borders. We stopped letting people in. I think, I'm going to say it again, this is the last time for 2023, and I'll say it in 2024, I bet you that all of the UN member states of the world, if there's someone looking for asylum, then those people should be divvied out per capita amongst the member countries evenly. So if you're looking for asylum, those member states should open arms, bring you on board, given the assignment of the UN. That to me makes so much more sense. Make the admin go up, make it fair, and you can't just have your golden glasses on, seeing your destination as being your desired country. If they're all fair and they're all equal among those member states, then that's where you should go. I mean, you're seeking asylum. You're not booking a holiday. Yes, there's some countries that are better than others, but if you've gone through 300 countries, I'm making it up, to get to the one that you prefer to go to, were you really seeking asylum? or were you just trying to migrate? And migration's going to be a big problem in 2024, where we're seeing things right now, the temperature's getting crazy. We're seeing crop problems. We're meant to be in a no rain season, and we're seeing the most rain we've seen. 2 meters of rain in Queensland. We're seeing the most we've seen in a long, long time. Hang on, listening, but they want me phone number to comment pass. I don't know what you're talking about. Nox Marit. Let's see if Mickey's back yet. No, he's still away. Away. Anyway, I had something else to talk about. Part of the wind up for 2023 is the crazy amount of deaths that we've seen from, let's just call them celebrity deaths. There's been so many of them, and so disappointing. Some of the highlights in there are saddening, because I really feel for the families of the people that have been lost. It's always sadder for them than the person that's going. And the reasons for them going, I'm not investigating at all. I've stopped wanting to know now. I know that we talked about excess deaths a long time ago, and there's no need to go through those. But it saddens me to see this. And there was a point, there was a quatrain from Nostradamus which spoke about the time near the end times, and that was that more deaths of, like, popular people, I suppose. It wasn't written quite like that, because obviously he was French. Hey, Mackie, you're back. But there was this thing where the, not celebrities, but people that you knew became prevalent in deaths. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird, Mackie. A bit weird. I was having a look at the most expensive weather damage that's occurred, or natural disaster damage, and the climate disasters in the US exceeded all of the previous ones per year as a yearly total, but it was only 3/4 of the year in, and it had already exceeded all the previous totals.
Jeez. Really?
Yeah, we're getting up there now because we've ourselves, but
you know what that means, right?
it means insurance
Premiums.
goes up. Premiums go
Yeah,
up.
exactly. So the same thing. In fact, something similar happened when it came to childcare and such, and even clubs. Like the leagues clubs, etc.
Yes.
They went out of business because they couldn't afford the insurance anymore. So there are already now in Australia places where you can't get insurance for love or money.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't get it. I mean, you can set it in your head. It's just not going to happen. And well, it's pretty horrendous if you think about that. I mean, I think, Dave, we're going to look at vast areas in countries that are in floodplains or storm paths or whatever it may be, right? That simply will not be inhabited. They're going to be the Badlands, which is, I mean, you can have it, you can live there, but if something happens to you, you're on your own, pretty much.
Well, I'm sure, to be honest with you, Mackie, I'm sure that there's a way of constructing a building that won't get blown away, even in 800-kilometre-hour winds. Yeah.
Oh, of course, but that's not cheap.
Well, then insurance, you can, they can put that where the insurance is going to get better. And this is the thing. In floodplains, Mackie and I have already spoken about the solution to that. In Tornado Alley, there was a tornado, Mackie. It was confirmed in Brisbane in this last week. Yeah. And you know how I said I suspected I could see the hook on it?
Yeah.
So on the radar, absolutely, 100%. That was it. So there was footage that's come out showing the tornado. And the loss of life is awful. And the wind up to everything we've spoken about, there was 2 people hit by lightning in their cars. They were driving along and just hit by lightning.
Oh, the other thing, something we just haven't seen like this before, is the number of deaths due to the flooding. We've never seen that many deaths due to flooding in Australia. It's just never happened before. It's just, again, what? Unprecedented is what you say?
There's that word again.
It's, look, I just wonder, because we are really, this is sort of not really creeping up on us, but it's happening. And when something is happening, you just deal with it. That's what life is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things are going to get worse and worse and worse. And simply because, you're dealing with it doesn't mean it's okay. It just means you're dealing with it. And people have been dealing with stuff, through all of our history, of course. This is just going to be one of those things where we are going to be dealing with it, and the life that we lead today will be looked back upon the comfortable life. This is the comfortable life that we used to have once upon a time, and now not so much. It will be a very different kind of life that we will have, and our children, right, Dave and mine, and listeners as well here, if they have children, will see that their children won't have that. I mean, already, just from an economic point of view, our children will have a hard time buying a house in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. Full stop. Finding a job. Full stop. Because of, ChatGPT. But this new thing, Gemini, Dave sent me a link to, and I watched and I go, this is not real AI yet. Don't get me wrong. It's not real AI. Not real AI. It's bad enough. Okay.
It's close, but you're right, and I admit also that it isn't actual AI, because when Mackie and I talk about artificial intelligence, that there's artificial general intelligence, which is equivalent or greater than humans, but that's only from what it's seen, read, and heard. But where an AI has gone the next step with enough information for it to not be a prompt, but to be its own voice.
Yeah.
Constantly interpreting its world around it rather than by prompt. And I think that's the big shift. What you saw in that video, Mick, is really interesting to me, where it's examining him, hand drawing something and determining what it is as he's adding stuff to it. Becomes a duck, right? I think if Gemini was live like that for all of us, that's a different world. A completely different world.
Oh. No, look, if Gemini, look, the kicker here for me was the whole video thing.
Yeah.
That actually recognized video, which is really, I mean, even for humans, it's tough to recognize video, right? It's, and he goes, yeah, that's what it is. And I go, oh my God. And there was an audio interface as far as I could make out, right?
That's right. It was talking to him, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. Not
Open
not
the
far
pod bay
off.
doors, Hal.
Sorry, I can't do that. No, but Dave. There's the music.
We'll be back after a short break. In the meantime, take the time itself, if time's linear, to donate, and we'll see you on the other side. If you're watching this on YouTube, this one will end and a new one will begin for the second hour.